Hello, this is Professor William Torgerson, and this is the tutorial. What do I mean when I say investigate? And the word investigate is a new word for me this semester, and it implies, I think, that there's something that the writer wants to know, as opposed to doing a report on Ernest Hemingway, learning about his life, spitting back out things that somebody else has said. Investigate. At the same time, I like that what investigate does. I don't want to discount some other possibilities. If somebody wanted to tell the story of, for example, they're moving from a place, say a student comes from Taiwan and moves to the United States and they want to tell that story, or a student maybe, I'm thinking of some past examples, they have cancer and they want to tell that story of treatment. And so I think that um, the word investigate could still very much involve be a part of those kinds of stories. So we write this paper in this class called a scholarly personal narrative, and the word scholarly implies, in this class's case, that I'm going to have you go online and I'm going to have you access scholarly databases. So let me just show you that real quick. I'm on the St. John's University webpage, and to access the library site, here I am clicking on libraries. Here are the databases, and then these are all sorts of different databases. I often have my students use EBSCO, um, and then off we go. And there's all kinds of scholarly articles. So when I say a scholarly personal narrative, the scholarly is going to come from articles that you find here on the St. John's University Library website. Personal is the part that comes from you. I had you do a list of writing territories, and that could be that you're fascinated with the pyramids in Egypt. That could be that you're a sports management major. That could be, again, like um, that you move from this country to that country, you moved across the country, you're living in the dormitory. So the personal part means that this paper is not only going to have research from articles that you read, but it's also going to have stories it's going to have a personal aspect that comes from you. Well, and one of our starting places is going to be that your blog. And so I've got two students' blogs, and so this student, Peggy, here's her writing territories, which you've all just completed. And so she has music, dance, books, internet, her identity. She's a sister, a student, a daughter, a friend. She lives on Long Island, and so forth. All of these represent possibilities for her to investigate. She could, I mean, just to throw out some ideas here, people have done papers on does music help you study or not? I've had papers on music therapy. How does dancing affect the body? Do dancers, are they more likely to have eating disorders or foot problems? How is the internet changing the way that we think? So this list, there are tons of papers possible represented in this list of writing territories. And I guess I should point out that and you may have noticed that I keep transforming words like the internet into questions, and that goes back to my question, what do you want to investigate? And there's a guy named Donald Murray who wrote a book called Right to Learn. He's one of the key people to get me interested, I think, in the field of English and teaching writing. And he said something to the effect of the best research projects are fueled by a question, or they begin with the research question. So we're going to always be, I want you to be thinking about converting words like pharmacy into questions like, are pharmacists trained adequately to relate to customers and a pharmacy? So we're working on, and I don't expect you to be able to do that yet, but that's what you're thinking about as you get started. Um, Something that's occurred to me later is how much the documentary films that interest me, how much that the voice of those documentaries, the way the stories in those documentaries are told, how much that is like the voice that works pretty well in the scholarly personal narrative. So you're writing this paper that kind of comes from you, where you're talking about something a little bit personal, your major, something that happened in your life, something that you're interested in. You love to modify cars. You decided to major in risk management, whatever you're interested in, the job, what the job market's going to be like when you graduate. You have this personal part, and you combine it with scholarly research. Let's let's watch the way that this sort of process evolved for this student. And the first thing that she wrote about was traveling abroad through the Travel Abroad program. And then one of her early posts was her teaching philosophy. Um, and through conversation and people on the blog posts and her and I talking, she started to get interested in testing. And so, as I say, what do you want to investigate? I think what she wanted to investigate was the role of standardized testing on the career of someone who was going to be a teacher. And so here's her philosophy of teaching, which hasn't taken her to testing yet. And so as she went out and found scholarly articles, this is the second article that she read. The next scholarly article is interesting because the study was done in Arkansas and involved teachers who are for standardized testing. As I read through it, some things made sense, but not completely. And by the end, I knew their points were just exceptions for the area the study was done in. And so she's starting to find her way towards her focus and what she wants to investigate. Um, Testing, and so I'm going to go to some of her newer entries. And what I want you to see here is how this student didn't um, this student didn't know right away that she wanted to investigate standardized testing. Um, she did writing territory. She wrote about several different things. She began to read articles about it. We had conversations. She had conversations with her classmates. Eventually, the idea of testing, investigating testing, evolved. And the question. All right. So I look forward to hearing some feedback on the video and looking to your blogs to see what you think you might want to investigate.